Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. My name is Agnes van Rhijn, and I'm a life and business success mentor at Success on Your Own Terms. I help professional women live their life and their business to its fullest potential while respecting who they are and what is important to them. At the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show today, it is my privilege to be interviewing Michelle Vina-Baltsas. Michelle left behind a six-figure corporate position after 25 years of service to become a food and body relationship specialist. She had been misaligned with her job for over 5 years and manifested in a lot of physical symptoms. She healed her body and overcame clinical depression. Today, her passion is to help women shift their mindset so that they can finally live without the constant preoccupation with food and their bodies. She teaches her clients how to cultivate healthy lifestyle behaviors instead of worrying about weight and size using the intuitive eating model. Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Agnes. It's very nice to be here.
I'm very pleased to have you. I love those stories of women who come from the corporate world and then created something completely different for themselves. I've been there, done that. So I love sharing those stories. So tell us more about you.
Well, as you said, I was in corporate America for 25 years, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I truly did. It wasn't until 5, 6, 7 years ago that I started to become disenchanted. My company that I had been with for, at that time, probably 9 years, was going through major transformation, and they were purchased by a Chinese company, and everything got turned upside down. And, in my many years in corporate, I had seen lots and lots of layoffs, but this was happening in record numbers. It was done very abruptly, and I got more and more disenchanted with the whole corporate environment, the stress that it was producing in my life and in the people that I worked with, and also what it was doing to my family. I was watching, just that my health was beginning to deteriorate because I was so stressed all the time. And, at that time, and still, I have a son, and he was getting to an age where I wanted to be available for him more often. I felt that I was missing a lot, and that really did not sit well with me because I have one child. So I was like, well, I'm going to miss the boat. I don't want to miss out on these opportunities. They're precious moments.
You can't bring them back.
Yeah, you can't bring them back. So in 2013, I went back to school to become a nutrition counselor. And I was not the type of person who had any, real lofty ideas of becoming an entrepreneur. And when I signed up for school, it was a very impulsive decision, but it felt right at the time. It felt like this was something that I really could do because I had a passion for nutrition and working with women for many, many years. So I did it, and 10, 11 months later, I was certified. And that was like the first leg of that journey. And then I decided that it was something that I started to attract clients, and it was something that I really was feeling very good about. But it reinforced my feeling that I was very misaligned with my corporate job. And
so Michelle, if I may interrupt just to better understand. Sure. So you were still having your corporate job, and while you were there, you were following that course.
Correct.
That's how I had done it as well. Yeah.
Yes. I did my studies while I was still in corporate, so it was like having two jobs. I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah.
But it was necessary at the time. And then when I graduated, I think the program was 10 months. I said, well, I would like to do this, and I started to attract clients, and I continued to, build my client base while I was working full time. But what was happening was that I needed more and more time to build, and my corporate job was really cutting into that time.
Yeah, of course.
So, I really needed to make a decision about what I wanted to do. And it was not an easy decision to make. It was not at all. And to be frank with you, it took several years for the transformation to actually take place. There were many things that my husband and I had to really put in place before I could, say goodbye to that six-figure salary, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's life-changing, definitely.
Yeah, perfect. It's life-changing, and we have a home and a child, and, we have responsibilities. And it was also, the whole lifestyle, leaving that whole lifestyle behind was like, oh, this will be interesting, I wanted to do it, but I didn't know what to expect. I did not know what a life with that kind of freedom would give me. I could only imagine. So in May of 2015, I made the break, and I resigned, in the formal way, and it was probably one of the best days of my life. Truly, truly. Aside from giving birth to my son and getting married, resigning from my corporate job was a very joyous day. I felt free. And I gave the traditional 2 weeks notice, and so after 12 years of working at that particular company, I said goodbye, and I went into full-time employment as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
So you had the support of your husband.
Yes.
Yeah, which of course is a massive difference. That's not the case for everyone. You can be in a situation where you don't have the husband, you're doing it alone, so making the choices are more difficult. Or you do have the husband, but or the partner, whatever way you look at it, and he or she disagrees, is not giving you the support. So yes, that is of course something that is very helpful.
Absolutely. There's no way. I'm a very strong person, but not having my husband's support would have been very, very difficult for me. And, I believe that we're a team, and we need to support one another. And I've supported him and he's supported me. And I'm very, very blessed in that way. There's no question about it.
And to bounce back on that, I would definitely recommend for the viewers, if you are in a situation where you don't have that type of support around you, or potentially someone even against it, one of the key things is absolutely to surround you with people who would give you that support. And that is not necessarily next door. In my case, I was in a small village in France back then, and I was finding my support virtually online. I was in masterminds, I was having mentoring, coaching, blah, blah, blah. But, or even, in some private Facebook groups, etc., where I would have that type of support with people who are at the other end of the world sometimes. So, but that's essential. So, so you did set up your business, but what would you describe in that moment of transition, what your biggest challenges were?
Well, for the 3 or so years when I, went to school, got my certification, and then finally decided to leave, I struggled with terrible, terrible clinical depression. And I firmly believe that it was really very circumstantial. And I say that because I no longer need to be medicated, and haven't for some time. I believe that the misalignment that I was experiencing in my profession paid a very heavy price for it. And I literally would get up in the morning and be like, I can't believe I have to go there again. It was that bad every single day. And, again, with the frequent layoffs and the changes all the time, you felt like people were always pulling the rug from under you. So it led to a very unstable environment. So that, of course, fed the depression, and it really was a very, very dark period in my life, and one that I literally thank God for every day that it's no longer the case. So yes, we had some challenges. My husband and I, in order to prepare for me leaving my job, also had to really come clean about our finances, which was not pretty at all. Really, it was not. We had a lot of debt to clean up. We had to really look at our finances and put like some type of empowerment plan in place which some people call a budget. We chose to call it an empowerment plan.
I love it.
Yeah, and get ourselves out of the situation that we were in, because if we didn't, there was no hope that I would have been able to leave my job, because truth be told, my husband did have employment, but I've always made significantly more than him. And I also carried the family benefits. So, me leaving was like, wow, the whole earth, everything could have just crumbled.
Yeah, yeah.
So we found a financial coach. We worked with somebody while I had my salary. And she helped us in ways that forever will be useful for us. But we were able to really get a handle on where we stood financially and what we could tolerate in terms of me leaving my job.
Yeah.
And it was scary. It really, really was scary, but it was necessary in order to get to that next level, So that is something that I would absolutely recommend, that you really take a good, honest look at where you are financially, what you need to make, and have a realistic empowerment plan that includes everything, including having dinner with friends, vacation, and everything, because you have to live. You can't just, eat macaroni every day. You have to have a life also. So doing that was very, very instrumental in helping this become a reality for my family.
I love that you refer to that, because I realized that I haven't heard it often in the interviews. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, because this morning I spent 1 hour with a young woman talking about that need for financial awareness, and need where you stand, and need what your minimum should be, and what your ideal is, and etc., in all areas of your life, as you described it.
Yes.
And that then also leads to your business, of course. Mm-hmm. And I'm right now running I'm placing a visual tip. It's just a visual every single day on all the steps to take, because this is the right time of the year to start looking at things. Yeah. So I love that you mentioned that, because I see so many women just have no feel at all for where they stand, but on top of it, they're afraid to look at it.
It's terrifying.
Yes, exactly, because they're afraid of what they will find. But I mean, doing that is not helping. At the contrary.
It's one of those things where, I believe as a coach that in order for people to invest in our services, we need to invest in ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
And we also have to not be afraid to put our hands in our pockets and pay someone, because it's all, as they say, it's all energy. It's very, very important to get in touch with that. And the other thing that I'll add, is that in addition to getting the finances in order, the one thing that I never expected when I got into this field was, talking about the emotional blocks that we have.
Exactly.
Things, right?
Money is not about money.
Yes, and money is a huge stumbling block for so many people. And many of us are afraid to explore our money stories, which go back to our childhood,
And sometimes even further than that, because it has been transmitted. Yeah,
absolutely. So while I've healed a lot of my money story, I still have a lot to go, but it's so much better than it was, and enough so that I was able to move forward. If we had not gotten a coach, I'm convinced that I would still be stuck in that place.
Mm-hmm.
It was too overwhelming for me, and I needed someone to help me chunk it down and devise a plan, because whenever we tried to do it, we would do it, but it wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
What we did was not helping us to move forward. So I called a pro. I said, I need professional help. This is not something I can do on my own. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay saying, throw me a line, I'm going to grab it, I need help. And that's what we did. And I'm so glad that we did.
So that's another very important tip that you're giving. And I love hearing that, is say when you don't know, and say, I need help.
Absolutely.
because the topic of money, or as well now what I'm just saying about I need help, is something that is particularly true for women. They have a hard time with it. It's
Yes.
completely different with men.
Yes.
And so somehow having to admit, I don't know, women in particular have this tendency to think that, oh, I'm not good enough, and what will people think of me, etc. Whereas I always love giving the example of Brené Brown's TED Talk about the power of vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weak, is not weakness. It's a strength.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love Brené Brown, and I use her a lot when I coach the women that I work with, because to me, asking for help, is a sign of strength.
Absolutely.
It's knowing that there is no way we can be an expert at everything. It's just not possible. So when we try it on our own, doing all the self-help stuff that's possible, and we're not seeing the results that we want, in my opinion, it's the responsible and the wise thing to go to someone that can help you.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, if you don't do that, in a way, you're kind of self-sabotaging yourself.
Completely.
Right? You've established a goal. You're not getting anywhere near that goal, and you insist on saying, oh, well, I'll figure it out. And you know what? Sometimes you do, but most times you
don't.
Most times you don't. And then what you wind up with is a lot of regret. And that's sad. That's very sad. So, I have been very, very fortunate to have very good advisors, since I've left my job, and I've hired coaches for various things, and I have not regretted one single penny that I've spent, because I've learned so much, about myself, and also about how I can get to that next level. And it's paid off 10 times over,
Excellent. That's really, as I often say, music to my ears. I love that. Yeah, it absolutely made a difference for me as well. And in particular, once I started embracing my vulnerability, when, I have this story that a lot of people have, or about being the eldest in a my siblings, we were 6, and always carrying everyone, etc. And so always being strong, and now perfect, yes, but when things really started changing for me was when I didn't need to put that facade up anymore. That I was, yes, I'm strong, overly speaking, I am absolutely strong, very resilient, etc. However, of course I have my moments, and of course I need help as well, and a shoulder, and etc.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful, because I think so many people misinterpret what being strong means. It doesn't mean that we don't ever ask for help. To me, I see it as a mindset shift, as we admit that we do need help in order to get us to the next level. Because for us, especially as entrepreneurs, our goal, and our focus is always, how can we help our clients better?
Yeah.
And if getting us to the next level is going to advance our thinking and shift our mindset in some way that's going to benefit our clients, everybody wins. That's how I see it. But if we're stuck in one place, it's not good, not good.
And I love that you refer so much to mindset as well. I really think that it's definitely for an entrepreneur and for setting up a business, etc. It absolutely is foundational. There is a mindset shift needed, and I would say in particular when you come from the corporate world, where you've had all the support system, and you need to ask for a legal question, you go to the legal department. You need for something for HR, you go to the HR department, etc. Well, when you're home, you don't have that anymore. So where do you go, and how do you handle it? Yeah. So it is not for everyone. I wish that more women would dare look at all aspects of it before getting started. Not from the angle of, oh my God, I'm too afraid to go, but just awareness. It's like everything. There is, how do you say that in English? A coin has two sides. So whatever you choose, there will always be things in there that you don't like, but I want to be aware of it before starting.
And you, two things that you brought up that I just want to touch upon. Number one, you mentioned earlier about support online and having people who will support you literally all over the world, you know. And in my opinion, if you don't have that support, it's extremely difficult to do this because you're alone,
Yeah.
you know, and it's really not a good feeling. And especially if you come from a corporate environment, like you said, you need legal advice, you go upstairs. You know, you need advertising or marketing, you go to a different, it's not like that here. You know, you have to know how to pull your resources, be visible, you know, and for me, having a good business coach was also very, very important to help me with the mindset shifts that you're talking about. Because if someone had said to me that your mindset is one of the most important things, when I left my job, I would have been like, no, it's working hard. That's what matters. No, it's the mindset, because without that, you're not going to attract the clients.
No, absolutely.
So that's a huge, huge piece that no one ever told me, you know, ever. And now that I know it and I'm living it, it's like, okay, this is a huge piece of this puzzle that needs to always be finessed. You know, it always needs to be worked on. So that's key.
Yeah, it's also being conscious that, well, it is personal development in general to start with. And that's a lifelong journey.
Absolutely.
We keep peeling layers of the onion.
Yeah.
And so that's absolutely normal. Our readiness is evolving as we evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also what makes all the difference. But what you refer to is very interesting, because I remember that back when I started, that's by now something like 9-10 years ago, I didn't know where to look for help. And, you know, there was this notion of business coaching, but it was just looking at business.
Yeah.
That's all it did. And I have had multiple coaches back then. Well, they didn't prepare me on the mindset aspects. They didn't prepare me on dealing with the limiting beliefs and the blocks that we have and the emotional underlying things, etc. And that's why I have chosen to develop a holistic approach, because you can't say, oh, now we're only working on the business, or we're only working on mindset, because you want to move forward in your business as well at the same time.
Right.
So yeah, it's very, very interesting. So, but tell us more about what you do now, and who you serve, and you know, who your clients are.
I serve women that want to change their relationship with food and how they feel about their bodies. My typical client is a woman who has been dieting for the majority of her life, and, you know, typically yo-yo dieting, has, you know, lost and gained so many times, and who possibly struggles with emotional eating. They usually go hand in hand. And who also has a lot of body dissatisfaction, you know, and is just tired of not feeling good about themselves, you know, and who just want to exist and not be worried about every morsel of food they put in their mouth, you know, who doesn't want to be focused on the size of their jeans anymore. They just want to be free, you know. So when women are ready to unleash themselves from all of that, which is not easy, because we're so conditioned to believing, you know, in those terms, and that's the only way that most women live. But there is another way to live, you know, where you can have that kind of freedom and you can actually love your body. And it's really nice when people become open to that. So those are the women that I serve, and I love what I do, and I feel very privileged, you know, to be part of that leg of someone's journey in life. Because when that gets aligned, you know, so many things fall into place, you know, and that will go for the entrepreneur too, that, as you well know, visibility is critical, you know, when you're an entrepreneur. And if you don't, oftentimes, if you don't get the whole body image thing worked out, you do not want to be visible.
I've seen it so often. Yes, you're right. Very good
You don't
point.
want to do videos. You don't want to do a photo shoot. You don't want to do any of that because you think you look bad.
Mm.
So it's a big issue that, again, people don't really address it until somebody says, oh, you've got to do videos. You have to have a YouTube channel. And they're like, I'm not going on video. I hate myself in pictures. And it's that battle that women have. And men do too, but mostly women.
Less. Yeah, it's mostly women, yes.
It's very, very difficult. So it's one of those things where it is possible to be free. You know, it is. And that for women that want that, I help to provide that.
So Michelle, by curiosity, how long on average would a person work with you to reach that point where she feels happy and comfortable and free in her body and her life, etc.?
The average is 6 months is generally, the amount of time that, because it takes years could potentially take years to undo all the years of damage that people have sustained from being in that type of lifestyle. But after 6 months, I feel that they have the tools that they need, and they have that confidence, and they have the understanding of what it's like to live what I call on the other side, where they can fly on their own, So generally 6 months is the period of time.
Yeah, which is what I would have expected. It's like when I always say for people who want to work with me that it is a minimum of 6 to 9 months. I always say nine months because we are women, so we're giving birth to a new us.
Yes. Yes.
I love that because you can't undo just in a month what has been built upon an entire life.
Absolutely. These are not quick fix solutions.
No.
Those are not the kind of women that I tell people this is work. And like you said before, you described it as the onion, which is a perfect description. We're peeling back all these layers, but it takes time, and a lot of patience and a lot of self-compassion, but we need to be very patient with ourselves. And that does not happen overnight, and change does not happen overnight. So we need to just kind of like let it happen and see the transformation and applaud every single accomplishment, small or big. We have to do this all the time because it fuels us to keep going forward, you know?
You know what I like, what I noticed with you as well, and that has been a major change for me too. In the corporate world, we have this rat race. And as an entrepreneur, we end up rebuilding that rat race also at some point very easily because there's so much to do and we think we don't have the money to outsource or whatever, etc. But at some point, and I can really sense it with you, there is this, I slow down. And I go more with the flow, etc. And that's a point that I've reached as well. And I really sense it very strongly with you. So I can imagine how useful that is to a woman who is struggling with her body image and etc. And therefore the stress that goes with it, to have someone around her that is I would say, soothing, I really love that with you. I can very strongly feel it. Yeah.
Thank you. And I love that you approach this from, as you say, a holistic point of view, because it's not just, oh, well, let's look at this one thing. If you don't look at the whole person,
it's a whole
person. And one other thing that people also don't realize when they're becoming an entrepreneur is the importance of self-care.
Yeah.
And that is a huge piece of when I coach my women is when your self-care starts to improve, many things start to naturally fall into place. But everybody is so rushing, like you're saying, doing their thing. They forget to take care of themselves. That never yields good results.
No,
never.
Absolutely. Michelle, I'm getting conscious of time. Tell us where people can find you.
My website is my name. It's www.michelleVina-Baltsas.com. I have a private Facebook page where women are welcome to come if they are interested in knowing more about my work. And on my website, I have a free ebook that they can get about emotional eating that is very, very helpful. I'm also on Pinterest and Twitter, VB Michelle. I have a lot of great stuff on both mediums, and I encourage women to check them out.
So I suppose that Pinterest, Twitter, etc., they can find all of that on your website as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
everything's
Okay.
on my, yes, thank you.
Okay, because I will be referring to your website, obviously, with the interview, but
Yes,
then we know
yes.
that they can go further for that. Michelle, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was really delightful, and I love that you've brought in a few angles that I very strongly believe in, and that do not often come up. So for the viewers and listeners of this program, if you too would want to give a new turn to your life, if you want to fully embrace it and to have a life and a business where you can develop your full potential, I suggest that you go to my website, www.agnesvanrijn.com, ANYESVANRHIJN.com, and that you book a complimentary discovery consultation with me to find out how I can help you reach that. Thank you so much. See you in the next interview. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.